Macro Detectors is the fastest growing manufacturer in the industry, and for good reason. Many detectorists, including Mike Hare, call us the most innovative, but we are so much more than that. We listen to and care about our customers. We also offer a wide range of detectors to fit all of your needs. Come check out all of our products today at www.noctadetectors.com. Detectors for everyone, everywhere, a lifetime.
Welcome to the UK's first metal detection podcast. It's All Metal Mode UK with your host from across the pond, Mr. Michael Hare.
Hello, everybody. This is Mike here, and you're listening to the All Metal Mode Podcast UK. Tonight's guest is Aaron Cooper with DeepTech Detectors, and I'm really looking forward to this. We've scheduled the show a few times, and he's had to cancel for good reason, and so I've really been looking forward to this. If you're interested in reading my articles, you can go to allmetalmode.com. Don't forget to check out archmdmag.com as well. By the way, tonight, Mr. Dave Sadler will not be joining us. He's taking the night off. So we got that. Facebook, you can follow us at All Metal Mode Podcast, All Metal Mode Podcast UK, Metal Detecting UK, Dirt Fishing, Archaeology and Metal Detecting Magazine, an archaeology and metal detecting group as well. Don't forget, you can find us on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and other affiliates. Please let your fellow detectors know about the show. We'd really appreciate it if you can help us get the word out. You can go to Spreaker, you can download it and listen to it on your commute. You can listen to it right off of Spreaker. Many ways to listen to the show, catch the show. 1 second, I need to do something here. Please bear with me. I gotta check something out. I apologize. Give me 1 second. I am checking something. Okay, good deal. We're good. I was having a little bit of technical issue. I just wanted to double check here. So, how I heard about, I want to tell a quick story about DeepTech and how I heard about them. On the United States show, I've had George Kinsey on quite a few times. George Kinsey's been metal detecting since 1969. And although he's had just some amazing finds over the years, he's more into the technology. He loves learning new detectors. He's had over 200 detectors, and I would consider him an expert. I mean, I love the technology. I love learning new detectors, but I've not had my hands on as many as he has, and he's had them from all over the world. So that really got me interested into DeepTech, and because he's very into DeepTech, he really likes them. He's a relic hunter here in the United States, and I know he's got at least a few. another thing I want to tell you, me and Luke Higgins and I were talking a few weeks ago, maybe a month now, and he kind of compared. We were talking about detectors and we were talking about technology, and he was talking about, some of these old sport cars, how cool they are. And, it reminded me of a story that I want to tell, and keep in mind this does relate to metal detecting. So I used to work on a race car. This guy did courses. I'm not even sure, exactly what kind of racing it's called, but I would change out the rear ends and transmissions for him and change the gearing for him as he did it. Well, his race car had started life as a 63 Corvette and a convertible, and he turned it into a full-blown race car. And he used to race against the really rich, and this guy was not rich. But he was always racing racing up against these exotic newer cars. I know a lot of the preference was the Porsches. And this 63 Corvette with a carbureted engine, open roof, this guy won a lot of races and was very well respected, racing up against these brand new, exotic, high-end, expensive cars, and he's running this old Corvette, that's still running a carbureted engine and hitting. I know he'd hit as much as 180 miles per hour in this car. And, that's what I think about when I think about analog detectors. And, I recently got into an argument with a guy about a specific brand that is analog, and it wasn't DeepTech, I assure you. And he was saying it was obsolete technology, and I said, you're absolutely wrong. It's old technology, but don't mistake that for obsolete. If you've listened, obviously some of you've listened to the show before, and I'm a huge fan of analog detectors I'm a huge fan of analog detectors, especially in the iron. Man, do they work through the iron like nothing I've ever seen. So, keep that in mind as we do this tonight. I'm a big fan, absolutely a big fan. I have not used DeepTech yet, but if George Kinsey loves them, I can tell you they're good detectors. I highly respect George's opinion and all that. If you're listening in and you're not in chat, I would highly recommend it. If you have questions for Aaron tonight, depending on how you're listening in, whether it's your phone or a computer, look for a chat bubble. You'll see a little, it looks like a little cloud or, like just a chat bubble. I'm sure you've seen a chat bubble before. Click on that and you'll come into the live chat and you can ask questions and stuff. So, Aaron, are you with us?
I am indeed, Mike. How are you?
I am good.
That's good to hear. Nice to hear your voice again.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so this is new to me, doing a podcast like this. Ain't something I've done before, so...
Oh, you'll do good. You'll be fine.
Yeah, I'll wing it. We'll do well. We'll get along.
Yeah, I think the trick questions I have and stuff, you'll be okay with. I think
that's
you'll
cool,
get
Ben. Anything too technical, it goes straight above my head, and I'll go next.
Absolutely.
We do well. I can answer all your questions, whatever you want and stuff. So, looking forward to it. Should
Absolutely.
Be a good little chat.
We got Rory in chat asking about the Vista X. Rory, we'll be talking about that soon. We'll definitely be bringing up the Vista X. We're going to start off somewhere else, though, but we will definitely be getting to the Vista X. It's something I am really curious about as well. So, but let's start off with, Aaron, tell us about the company, when it got started and all that.
Well, DeepTech is a Bulgarian company, and it was first founded in 1990. And that was by Plowman Rashkov. I mean, he's a analog engineer. He's absolute genius at it. So, I mean, I think actual DeepTech was first registered in 2003. But around 2003, I think it was they first released a pulse induction machine. I think that was in 2003. Then in 2008, they released, I think it was their first VLF machine, which was the RG750. But no, it's a great company. I mean, like I said, it's not a huge company, but got a great reputation around the globe. And I mean, many people use the machines because they're nice and simple. But no, the main man behind the actual DeepTech is Plowman Rashkoff. He's, known as a genius, especially with analog machines and so on. But I think whatever he puts his hand to, he's pretty good at it. And also you got Rossi. She's like the CEO. She glues everything together. She's like, everyone knows like Rossi. She's a lovely woman. Everything else. Then you got like Sylvia, Plowman's daughter. So it's a family business as such. She's the general manager, and it works as a great team. Being family based and everything's all tight knit and everything. Then they've got the people below them, but it all works together and all gels well. They all know what they're meant to be doing, and it is a great company, and it's like a privilege to work for them. But okay. They're, at the moment, it's specialising in like the PI machines, pulse induction, and the VLF machines. So, yeah, but it founded in 1990, if I recall.
Oh, nice. So, how do you fit in?
Well, I started off, detecting roughly about when I was 10, but I literally done a few beaches and bits and bobs. I brought my first machine when I was 10. I think it was a Mike Ronta 4001. Brought it from a shop called Tandy's over here, and we've done a few beaches on holiday when parents took me away and everything. And I've used it for a little bit now and again, maybe on holidays. Then I stepped away from detecting. At the age of 10, many other things like pull your mind away. So it was only about 10 years ago. It was actually when I was speaking to a friend, and he said he's into metal detecting. And it sprung onto mind. Yeah, I wouldn't mind picking that back up. And it started back really from there. And I've soon realised that I wouldn't mind like being a tester for metal detectors. So I started, going on the forums and everything else. And it just built up from there. And I started reviewing machines from Gary from Gary's Detecting, nice bloke. Started reviewing like from machines, bits and bobs on there, on the forum and everything else. Then it progressed, and that was it. Then I was being sent machines from different companies. But it got to a point where I needed to get a job, part-time job or whatever, and I reached out to a few companies, and DeepTech reached back to me, and that was it, and that's where it started. And I've been working for them, I think it's about 3 to 4 years now, maybe about 3 years. So I'm like I do the testing, media, and so on. So no, it's great to work for DeepTech. Like I said, a fabulous company. They really know what they're doing, and the machines they produce are solid. So.
Nice. I think were you back when? Did you hear me talking about George?
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, God, I wasn't even born. when he picked up a detector.
Yeah, me neither. Me neither. Yeah, absolutely. So that
I was born in 75, and when did you say you started detecting? When in 69?
Yeah, he started detecting in 69. He's had over 200 detectors. He doesn't know how many. He recently sent me a detector, and it's an old it's a really old Tesoro, and I love old detectors too. I just love detectors. But anyhow, he sent me this old detector, and he told me he was sending it to me, and I said, George, you don't got to do that, And he goes, Mike, I've got so many detectors laying around. I need to get rid of some of them. And he sent me this detector, and it looks brand new. He takes really good care, just really good care of his detectors.
Yeah,
it is amazing.
I used to, but then it's like gets to the point you take them out, you'll be cleaning, especially in the winter. You're just cleaning them constantly. So I just let them build up, and when they get to a point you can't see like anything on the actual display or the front, that's it. Then give them a little wipe off.
Yeah.
But no, I did treat them. Because compared to 200, it's absolutely nothing. But I had about 27 detectors at one point, and you just clean. And it's just like nah, just let them go, sort of as they are. Just clean them when they need be, if you know what I mean. So, but no, 200 detectors. And the experience that George has got, that's unbelievable. But he's a nice bloke, I know George.
Yes, he is. He's a good guy, and he, like I said, he talks really highly of your detectors. That's what really turned me on to it. And so yeah, so tell us. Well, yeah, I guess you told us about you. Anything else? I want to hear before we move past that. I want to hear one really good story, good metal detecting story.
Well, saying I've probably got a fair few metal detecting stories. You know what I mean, but I could tell you a weird metal detecting story. And I mean, which was a bit strange, and you could, I mean, put it down to I don't know what it was. But I was out metal detecting once, and I was in this field. It was an old common, and I was digging this hole. Boom, 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 boom. Then I felt what I believe, someone actually re-tug on my shoulder, literally tug. And I was expecting to turn around and seeing someone there. And there was absolutely no one around. And it weren't like anything had got caught on my shoulder or anything like that. It was literally to like pick me up. Like, so, like, what are you doing here, or what's going on? I mean, that's just the strangest thing. And to look round and actually to see no one there, it was like, whoa. I mean, just like the hairs went up on my back. I mean, like pins and needles, and it was just like that was a strange thing. But the thing is, I mean, you speak to most detectives, they've got a million stories to tell. And I mean, but no, I mean, when I first found my first gold coin, that was that was a crown, a hammered gold coin. That was a Henry VIII crown of the double rose. That was a lovely coin. That was, and that was I think it was 1562. Wow. It weighed about, I think it weighed about 3.7 grams, if I recall. I mean, but when I was digging down, like I said, I mean, this was with the Vista Mini, the basic of DeepTech machines. I mean, this is like the beginner entry machine. I think I dug down, but a nice signal, had a slight scratch to it, nice signal. I dug down about 6 inches, and I couldn't believe it, and just saw this like glint of gold looking at me. And a gold hammered coin is what a lot of UK detectorists want. I mean, but I suppose every detectorist loves to find. But to see that, honestly, like I just nearly fell backwards in shock. You know what I mean, like people spend most of their lifetime and they still never find one detecting. Mm-hmm. And to find one probably within the first, whatever it was, 3 years of detecting or something like that. Nah, that was like a wow and a half. That was. But there's been 2 other gold coins since, so.
Oh my goodness!
I mean, but there's many different stories and fun things. You know what I mean? But
Aaron, I've got to share a story with you, and
good.
Our listeners have probably heard it. I know on the American podcast they've heard it, but I got to tell you this because I think you'll like this. I was hunting an old foundation in the woods. And we're talking probably 1700s, early 1800s. That's old for us. Don't laugh. Don't laugh too hard. And for where I was at, that was old. And I'd hunted. I went back there. It was a long walk through a field, and then the woods was set along a creek. And the first time I went there, I went by myself, and I just had a really uneasy feeling. And I don't do that. I grew up, hunting woods and stuff, and being in the woods and camping and stuff, but I stayed probably less than an hour, and I'm like, I just can't handle it no more. It just something about that was uneasy to me. So I went back with friends, and I think the next time, or maybe the time after that, I started at the creek, and I was working my way up through the woods to the foundation up the hill, and I got a signal, and it was a button, and I picked, I dug it up and put it in my pouch, an old button, 1800s, old for us, again, don't laugh. And I stood up, and I had another signal maybe a foot ahead of me, so I got right back down. I dug it, and the ground was really muddy, and I knew I had something hard in my hand, and I know I hadn't seen it yet, but I think I just felt it, and Aaron, it felt like I was shocked. And in a split second, I fell back on my butt onto my heels, and in that split second, I seen a kid running up a hill after his dad, who was going off to war with some other men. Here's the thing: the men weren't in military uniform. Why I knew that? I just knew that, but I mean it. It was an adrenaline rush. I had to calm down. it spooked me, big time. My first instant reaction was I just got shocked somehow. And I'm out in the middle of the woods. There's no electric. This house was gone, by the mid 1800s. There's no way. But that wasn't my first thought. My first thought was, how did I just get shocked? And in that split second. So yeah, and I tell people who laugh about that, I have dug thousands of relics. Literally thousands of relics, and that's never happened to me. So, hey, maybe it was a fluke, but who knows?
Yeah, that's the thing. You just don't know, do you? You really don't know how. I mean, we ain't going into a science thing, but space and time works and everything else. But yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of other people that had weird experiences when they're metal detecting, and I've had that uneasy feeling before. But that is the strangest one with me when it just felt like it was going to pull me up, and I was expecting 100% to turn around and see someone there. Just like, you can't explain these sort of things. And like with the electric shock there, you can't explain that. You don't know why or how, or just crazy instances with metal detecting sometimes. And I'm sure some people have got even more bizarre stories out there.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to keep it on track with you and DeepTech, but I've got, since that happened to me, I opened up to some different friends who told me stories that they hadn't told before. So it does happen more than we realize it. And, things do happen, so maybe we'll do a Halloween show sometime, talk about that kind of stuff. But yeah. So now, again, before we move on, I'm guessing the gold coin. What's the best find? What's your favorite find or your best find? It doesn't have to be worth money that you found with a DeepTech.
The thing is, I've had many nice finds. But I suppose that to me, the hammered coin was very nice. Not many people find a gold hammered. It was virtually immaculate condition. It's like it's just been dropped. But then I found a 2,000-year-old Celtic stater. You think about 2,000 years back. That was quite a rare coin as well. At the time, it was only 9 ever recorded. At the time.
Oh wow!
That was a Tring Celtic stater. So, to actually just see that, and the thing was, it's a very small, little, tiny coin, probably the size of a small button. It's a quarter stater. And a nice clean signal, and this was with off the top of my head, was it the Vista Gold Gain off the top of my head? Nice little sharp crystal signal. But it's one of them ones, you dig down, okay, you put your coil over it again, you get another little beep. Then that's it, so it's out the hole. Then you start pushing around the soil with a probe. And you can't, where the hell is this target? Push. Then that's it. Then I pushed there, the beep on the old probe. Then once again, it was like, wow. Just to actually see that coin there. And another what you could call a little crazy story. The night previous to finding this gold stater, I was speaking to a fellow DeepTech user, was Richard Bramman. And he's found a few gold staters with his Vista machines. And I said to him, there is one thing I'd love to find. I'd love to find a gold stater. And I've never talked to him about it before, everything else. But the very next day, I go out and find one.
Oh, my goodness. Wow.
I don't find anything normally like that, really. The bread and butter is like the hammered coins and bits and bobs. They're what come up for me mainly, apart from the lead buttons and so on. But, just to speak to someone previous, literally a day later, go out and find that coin. It's just like, wow, another sort of crazy coincidences. So
yeah, how ironic.
But the other one was a good one. When I found, where I used the different DeepTech to try to think which ones I've used. But one of them, I think it was the Vista Smart Plus. I think it was, and I found a gold love token. That was a George III. I think that's 17. Off the top of me, where is it? I was saying I've got it written down somewhere. Let me bear with me something. George III, 1762. That was a love token. And that was another nice gold coin sphere. Love token. I don't know if someone's explained to you. As far as I know, I'm not great with history or something. I think it was something to do with the gentleman of the days used to bend the coin, and if the lady gives it back to him, bent or something, then I think the relationship is on. Could be completely wrong. I'm no good with history like that. History's never been my thing. I suppose, where we talked before about, I've got slight mental health with ADD. So history in the past at school, I weren't interested in and everything else. So it's only ever since I picked up detectors, I learn history as I go along. But what I learn yesterday, I forget today.
Right.
But
right.
no, it's right good. I mean, I know a few other people like suffer with mental health and go metal detecting and everything else. So it is good when you find a nice item. But like I say, I've found so many. I've got like tubs and tubs and bits and bobs. And also with the finds I do find with some of the farmers, I show him all the finds. I mean, obviously, if there's anything significant in there, then you have to declare it and so on. But I show him all the finds, everything else, and what he don't want, he passes back to me. Then what we do with that, we put the finds on eBay, like a job lot. Then we donate the money to Great Ormond Street Hospital, which is a children's hospital in London. So, I mean, it's a great hobby in that sense of you can give back as well. You know what I mean? It's not a take hobby. You can give it back as well. So,
yeah.
I mean,
Aaron, real quick, I want to say something. I gotta kind of apologize, and I gotta give a shout out here real quick. So at the end of the show, every week we give a shout out to people who support us and stuff, and that we like. And last week, Aaron of South Coast Detecting said, "You never give me a shout out," and I gotta explain this, and so he understands. He's in the chat every time. I don't know that he's missed a show, but you know, if you got kids and you've got crazy kids and life's crazy, sometimes you just overlook things. You don't mean to, you know, but I got to apologize to Aaron, and I got to say, check out, South Coast Detecting on YouTube. But I seen him post something in the chat, and I had to do that, and I'm going to do it at the end of the show and at the end of the show from now on. So I apologize, Aaron. But,
no troubles at all. It's all about that's what it's part. It's a community thing, isn't it? Metal detecting. So
absolutely.
And when someone's on your show listening to your podcast, I mean, it's nice. It's a privilege that they're listening to your podcast and so on. So why not repay the favour back to a person like that? So no, it's a good thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. I love this hobby. I love the people in the hobby.
Yeah. I mean, you don't come across many bad people in the hobby. You know, I mean, I know you hear the horror stories and so on, but no, I mean, majority of people are nice. I mean, so that's good.
There have been 3 people, and you know, there's people in this community that, you know, we don't have the same style of hunting. We're not looking for the same, but I like them, you know, but maybe we don't have enough in common to go detect together or something. But, you know, in all my years, there have been 3 people that I have butted heads with, and I mean hard. Matter of fact, there was a guy recently on my group page, the All Metal Mode group page, who was really rude and out of line. And not only did we get into it, I had to delete him and everything else. Well, funny story, all 3 of these people I am now friends with and have been friends for years. It's funny to me, sometimes you just, you know, hit it off wrong, and but you know, he apologized, and you know, he was having a bad day, and I think there's some seriousness to it, but he often jokes about, I'm on my good pills today, I'll be good. You know, I think you know, he's an older gentleman with tons of knowledge. I hated that we had to argue, but he was just out of line on my group, and I wouldn't allow that. Yeah. You know, but now we're friends, you know, and I love that. It's funny that, you know, we can be friends after something like that, and it's happened before as well.
Sometimes, I mean, it's good to take off the mask beforehand, you know what I mean, if you know what I mean. So, I mean, you've got it out in the open, you've had your barn, you've had your row, and you see the person, and you can respect that sometimes, and you know who's who and what to expect from someone. So,
yeah.
No, I can understand that one.
Yeah, it happens. Hey, it happens.
Yeah, of course
you're always going to meet somebody you don't get along with. But overall, it's amazing how many people that I consider friends in the community, and you know, you just kind of meet and really like. So let's get into, if you're okay, let's go over the different detectors and what their design was, or what they're best suited for. If you
That's
don't
cool.
mind.
Well, yeah, no troubles. Well, if I go through like how can you say it, beginners to the advanced stuff, even though they're not advanced, you can still use the top-end machines quite easily. But where we've got like the Vista Mini, which is a real basic detector. You've got 2 dials and you've got a toggle switch in the middle. So your dials are on the Vista Mini, you've got volume and you've got sensitivity. Your toggle switch is for your ground balance. You push it down and ground balance. So you actually find a clean patch of ground, push toggle switch down. The machine will give off a tone until it's balanced with the soil. And you can either run hunt in all metal or discrimination mode. So that's the basic machine. And that was the one I found my very first gold coin with. I mean, it's just, and that's a little thing there. You don't need to spend a fortune to have a good session detecting. And with the Vista Mini, it's so stable. When I first picked up the Mini, I had to make sure it was switched on. It's that stable. I first used it on pasture, and just floating across, they weren't even making a sound or anything. And I literally had to keep on checking the on and off switch. The sensitivity was right the way up. But I just think, hold up. I mean, I'm not, when you come from certain machines and so on, you hear a lot of chatter background. You know the machine's on. But the Vista Mini was so stable. I mean, and it's just like, it was not, it was, how could you put it? It was new for me to hear a machine so stable, unless with the other machines, you crank down the sensitivity. But no, so the basic starts off with the Vista Mini. Then you go on to the Vista Mini Max, which is an 18 kilohertz. And with the Vista Mini Max, you have the option to increase your discrimination. With the Mini, you ain't got that. It's a preset discrimination. Okay. But with Vista Mini Max, you can set your discrimination to where you want. But like with all the Vistas, you have it as low as possible to maintain the best performance. Mm-hmm. Then you go up to the Vista Smart, which is another great machine, which found me plenty of Roman coins, bits and bobs, and so on. That was my first introduction to DeepTech, was Vista Smart. It's a day and night machine. I mean, it was using a few other machines prior to that. How could I put it? It made sense to me. It automatically made sense. I mean, coming from multi-tone machines as such, I mean, to one what's just two tones, and it's you get a low tone for iron and a high tone for good signals. It was understandable. Then you get your scratchy tones, which could be in between or something near iron. But no, that's another good machine. So the Vista Smart, that was another introduction, and that's got pinpoint mode, and that runs at 15 kilohertz. So that's a good stable platform if you do want to come straight into a machine that's got plenty of power and plenty of poke. Mm-hmm. Then you move on to the machines depends if you're got a load of coke infested ground. You have the Vista Sprite. Now that was designed by Gary from Gary's Detecting. I mean, he wanted a machine that deals with coke, and some places over in the UK we have a lot of coke. So with DeepTech, they designed, and obviously Plowman put his brains into this machine and come up with this, and that was a great machine. Now with the Vista Sprite, I mean, so with coke, don't you suffer with coke over in America?
No, not usually. No,
I mean, it's just it can literally plague our fields over here. So when you're detecting, you come across a signal. If you ain't cranked your disc right up, coke's going to sound off as a good signal. So you dig it all day, and a lot of fields you can literally be digging pockets full of coke. So you press your coke button, and that'll turn that into a low tone. But if there's something good beside the coke or under the coke of reasonable size, I mean, I don't mean big or anything, but just like a small hammered coin or something, it's going to see through the coke and still ring out as a high tone. But if it's just coke on its own, it'll ring out as a low tone, which is a handy tool, especially for over here. Mm. Then you get the Vista Smart Plus, is where you have iron audio, and so when you get just say the Vista Smart, you ain't got an option to turn down the iron audio. So you've got a good tone and a bad tone, and your volume. So you can't distinguish. I mean, you can't lower that iron volume. But with the Vista Smart Plus, you get the iron volume. So you can turn down the iron volume just to bring out the good tones.
Now, how many tones are we talking?
We're talking two tones. All the machines are two tones. Apart from, when you get the Vista Mini and the Mini Max, they're single tones. And obviously we can go over them in a bit. They're absolutely lovely machines in the way of... The Vista Mini Max is one of my favourites, but we'll go back to that in a little bit. And then we got the Vista Gold, which is, how could you put it? It was the best on the market in regards of what DeepTech produced. I mean, it was a 25 kilohertz, super sharp machine, absolutely fast, rapid. It's got fast and slow recovery. Just a great all-round machine, and it still is, to be honest. I mean, I'd be happy to use that all the time. Then we go up to prior to this, what's coming out soon, the Vista X, we got the Vista Gold Gain. Now, this was designed, there was a bloke in the UK called Jeffro Carpenter. Now, he's got some real bad sights, and he wanted this machine to deal with these sites. I mean, so he wanted a sharp machine, what can deal with highly mineralized ground, and he wanted it like 30 kilohertz. So they upped the kilohertz on the Vista Gold from 25 to 30, but they also added gain and sensitivity. So you can adjust both gain and sensitivity. So if you're in bad ground, you lower your sensitivity, you lower your gain, and you can start punching through that mineralized ground a little easier. So, I mean, they've got a wide range of machines. And also, at the Vista Warrior, which is one of the deepest machines, that DeepTech has produced, and many people say it's a very deep machine. That's an 18 kilohertz machine, and that's also got sensitivity and gain. But, I mean, they're all very good machines. It's just, it depends on what you need from a detector and how you set it up. But no matter if you go for the Vista Mini or the actual Vista Gold Gain, a few basic steps and you're there and you can be detecting and having a great laugh.
Now, the Vista Warrior, does it have iron audio?
Vista Warrior, yeah, it does have iron. Straight off the top of my head, Vista Warrior iron audio. I can check this for you 1 second.
Okay, sorry.
I don't, because I don't have the... No. Vista Warrior does not have iron audio. Because, I mean, I've had so many of these machines. I mean, at the moment, I ain't got the Vista Warrior actually with me, but
the Vista Gold does.
The Vista Gold, yes.
Now, how well is it in highly mineralized ground?
The Vista Gold, yeah, is a great machine in highly mineralized ground. Being its high kilohertz, it's very sharp, punches through. Especially, I mean, when you put the HP coil on it. I mean, the HP coil is like elliptical coil, 11 by 7 or 11 by 8, I think it is. But in highly mineralized ground, it is good. There's been videos on YouTube about people testing it on the beaches, on the black sand, bits and bobs, and also they're putting it through different tests, and it's finding micro jewelry and stuff like that, just as good as like machines like double its price and so on. I mean, but no, so they are good on highly mineralized ground. They really are. It's just you can't have the machines shouting out. You need to set them right so you can instead of hearing the ground, you hear the actual what the machines tell you instead of like all the feedback and everything. But that's the common problem with everyone with metal detecting it. If they set the machine up wrong, the machine can become a nightmare. But that's with the ethos of DeepTech is simplicity and performance, and that's what you get.
The Vista Gold, I believe, is the one that George Kinsey goes on and on about. Now, I'm fortunate that I'm not in mineralized ground. It's pretty mild ground and stuff, but he is in Virginia, which is, probably one of the worst places in the world. Now, I know the part of Virginia isn't horrible for him, but it's bad. I mean, there's, they talk about Culpepper's they use PI detectors strictly for the most part, but I think it's the Gold Gain that he talks so highly about. I could be wrong, but
he's probably got. Well, it's probably had them all, to be honest. I mean, like you said, he's had 200 odd machines, or whatever. And I know I spoke to George. I can't remember. Not spoke to him, but texted him quite a while back. And I think he's had a good few DeepTech. So he probably has got the Vista Gold Gain. To be honest, I mean, I can't put it past him. And the thing is, he talked highly of him, like you say. So. But when it comes to mineralized ground, it's better to have the sensitivity and the gain, because then you can adjust them independently to settle the machine down as you need. I mean, it's really not rocket science once you get hold of these machines to understand what's going on under that coil. So, you know what I mean? But they really are productive machines. They're no-nonsense machines. And that's what I've always liked about them. And with just say when I picked up the Vista Smart, I absolutely loved that machine. I said she found me plenty of nice bits and bobs, Roman coins and so on. It was so easy to use, and the performance was great, the audio was great, everything else. And that's, from then on, it was more or less that machine and the other DeepTechs, what I tested, or how could you put it, benchmarks other machines against. Because I know the performance was solid. So if another machine... I was testing when I was like freelance as such. I mean, I would put them up against this machine, and if they weren't cutting the mustard, I would work my thing, do everything I can to make them do what this Vista Smart was doing. And that, I mean, but the performance is there. It's so simple to use, and it all depends on what you want. I mean, some people are not keen on them, but some people like to fiddle with a lot of settings and menus and so on and so on. But if you want plain, honest detecting, then DeepTech's a great option for you.
Mm-hmm. And there's really something to be said about this being simple. You and I talked a little bit about Tesoros, and I've got a 6MXI. Man, that thing's easy to set up. It gets the job done. I call detectors without a ton of, the ones that work good that don't have menus and stuff to go through, and they're the workhorses. They might not have a VDI and you can change the screen color and the tones, but they get it done, and they get it done good. And again, George speaking so highly about you guys just speaks volumes to me.
Yeah.
And
that is the thing with the machines. I mean, people rely too much on VDI numbers. I mean, anything can make a VDI number change.
Yes.
I mean, depending on what it's next to, how it's laying in the ground and everything else. You get people saying, I don't dig below a certain number. Now, I mean, with experience with VDI machines there's certain people, they say, I don't dig below 30. Well, the things they're going to be missing and so on. It's always best to go with your ears. You're taking guesswork away because, I mean, you've got VDI machine. Nothing wrong with VDI machines. But you're starting putting doubt in your head. If you've got something just going and that's the audio alone, it's less doubt in your mind than a jumping number on the screen. Even though it might slightly scratchy audio. But people, rely on these sometimes numbers too much, I think. Audio is way better, in my personal opinion. Good audio wins.
There's a new detector out. I'm not going to mention its name, but everybody complains about the VDI. It's got a small VDI and everything runs together. And, I think, everybody jumps on the bandwagon of the latest and greatest, but is it really that great? I was telling somebody the story the other day. Somebody had contacted me and we got into this conversation about, they really think the technology is where it's at. And I said, I don't think so. I disagree. And here's why. Detectors really haven't changed that much over the years. They really haven't. I mean, and on one hand they have, but I go back to one of the best coin shooting detectors I've ever used was a MineLab XS. That come out, I believe, in 1999. Some of the best relic detectors I've had for, heavy iron has been the Tesoros, which are analog. We're talking really old technology with the analog. So I think it's more about, now what I'm seeing with you guys that I really like, I'm looking at the new one right now, the Vista X, and you guys have the iron volume. Most of the Tesoros are single tone. They just handle the iron, but there's even problems with them for sure. I won't use a detector in the heavy iron anymore. I get anxiety from a lot of noise. And when I got to listen to that iron at full volume, it drives me crazy.
Oh, yeah.
It drives me crazy. And the ability to run your detector open, with no discrimination or really low discrimination and turn that iron volume down is huge. A huge thing for me. And, I get on my rants. I love talking metal detectors. And, something I don't fully understand is, everybody we talk to over in England, they're field hunters for the most part, not everybody. And when you're field hunting and you're not talking about a lot of modern trash, analog detectors just tend to run quieter. They're easier to set up. They're easier to learn. They just get the job done. And we talk to everybody, and they've got the latest and greatest or this and that. These really high tech machines that are really, I think, kind of overkill. I mean, I would be more worried with depth and iron separation.
Yeah, and again, the ethos of it, and that is it. It's just great separation and great depth. And I mean, depth is relative to size of the target in the ground anyway, and also the soil conditions. Because I was out with a colleague up mid-country, and I was digging stuff, and I was digging smallish items, probably, I don't know, maybe the size of your, I think it's a cent over there or something like that.
Okay.
But I was digging down, literally, 10 inches for that. Now, for an object in my soil, down in my part of the land, you may not get that down at that depth. You know what I mean? So depth is very relative to the size of the target and the soil conditions. And there's some soil conditions you're not going to be digging deep at all. I mean, you could be digging, won't get anything above 5 inches and so on. So, but when people go on about depth and so on, about detectors and everything, it's all relative to whatever the ground conditions are and the size of the targets. But no, I mean, it's just, that is the thing with the Vista Golds and that. People with, just say, you've got a zillion settings on a machine. So they want to go for, they come across an iron field. They set their machine up to do so they set it up quite fast. And they come off that iron patch, but they leave it there. So they're losing the depth. I mean, so they're constantly repeating, or altering their programs to suit the field as such. But that's the good thing with the DeepTechs. They're great all-rounders, so you ain't got to set up anything like that. You ain't got any adjustments apart from on the Vista Gold, where you can put slow or fast recovery. But you ain't got to worry about setting up for depth. You ain't got to worry about setting up for speed in the iron. It's automatically there, and they do it great. They really well.
Analog is fast in the iron. I mean, there's no delay, right? I mean, that's just...
it's instant. Boom.
Yeah, you're not going to get any faster than analog. And to get this through to people sometimes is really challenging. I hate to say it, but I've hurt feelings and lost friends over tearing them up with an analog detector. If I was going to come to the UK, and someday I will, and go, if I know I'm going to be in fields and iron's the biggest obstacle, I'm going to come with an analog detector. I really am. I don't need the VDI. I don't need everything overcomplicating everything. I want something that's deep and fast, and you get that with analog. And so I'm surprised more of our guests that we've had on don't run analog detectors.
Yeah, I suppose it's for everyone. Everyone, likes the new technology, like you said before. Everyone likes some gadgets, bits and bobs, bells and whistles and everything. And everyone just wants, the latest machine out. But I always see, all you need a machine to do is either break the signal on and now and collect everything else. And, that's, to me, bare bones detecting. And that's what the old DeepTechs offer. Straight away, just instant detecting. It's exciting, because... when you see a hammered coin, just say you go out with a Vista Gold game and you get a hammered coin, or you get a good signal, bing, bing, bing. Sometimes you can tell that there is going to be something nice. Not always. You can never do that with any machine. But it just rings out nice. Just say you've got a hammered coin down about 5-6 inches. There's something about the tone that's absolutely wonderful. And then once you tune your ears into an analog machine, they're quite informative as well. It's sort of like lead and so on. There's slight signatures to the audio that you can tell, okay, boom, 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 that may be such and such target, but you dig it anyway. Because there's, personally, at bar iron, and I know, you could say a true metal detectorist will dig everything in the ground. They won't take nothing because, as you probably know, when your things go out of depth, they can start reading as iron anyway. Mm-hmm. But, no, if you just set it just right, take everything as possible. I can come away, literally go to a field and come away with 100 targets in my pockets. Mm-hmm. And majority of that may be like tiny little fragments of this or little bits of lead or junk and stuff. But it's nice to come home knowing that I've really done a good day's effort in that field, and I've got everything I can. Now, it's like within, I think it was the first, 6 months of taking the Vista Gold gain out, I think it was about 40 hammers I found.
Wow.
That's over a course of, I think it was about 3 fields. And that was, I'm digging like a mole. I'm going out, literally early morning, come back in the late afternoon. And that was 4 days a week. And it was just amazing the amount of targets that I was bringing home each day. I mean, they really are sharp machines, and they got a machine in here depending what your needs are, beginning, coming into the hobby, or advanced. I mean, so DeepTech have really got you covered in detecting wise for your analog machines.
And if you're using a digital detector correctly and not going off of just the VDI because the VDI will fool you, you're going to dig as much trash and junk as you will with a analog detector. If you're doing it right, if you're not digging as much trash, you're not doing it, because you're going to dig trash. I don't care what kind of detector you use. It just happens. I mean, you know, you better dig those iffy signals with no matter what kind of detector you have, or you're going to miss stuff. And so yeah, the best way I got to say real quick, Aaron, a few things. Number one, your interpretation of metal detector sounds is the best I've ever heard. You did one pre-show, and I was like, "Oh, I like that," and then you just did it again. Your interpretation of detector sounds are awesome. I love it. Aaron of South Coast Detecting, he said, Pete at LP sells DeepTech. Remember, you get 10% off if you use the code South Coast. That's in all caps. I'm guessing it's got to be in all caps. So there you go.
He's our UK supplier. I think we have a couple of UK suppliers, but Peter Leisure Promotions is a lovely bloke, and and he was happy to take on the machines, which is great to see. You know what I mean? And people, there was a sort of a gap in the market. He was selling all these technical machines, all the Mine Labs and so on, and XPs and everything, but not everyone wants them menus. Not everyone can go for them. Not everyone understands it. Some people, like myself, just want simple machine. Go out and have a good day's detecting. Not have a headache on settings. Am I missing it? Have I set this up? And am I missing that? Like I said, they're just so simple machines to use. It's day and night signals. Especially, I mean, if I go back onto one of my favourite machines with DeepTech is the DeepTech, the Minimax. Now, it's a single tone machine. And, hold up, 1 second. No, sorry, it was my dog who's trying to poke his head through the door. I do apologise.
No problem.
It's a simple machine, single tone, and you really, how could you put it? It's you take it out to the field, it's sharp. It might pop and crackle over iron, everything else, but you set your disc just as low as possible, and it's a breeze detecting. It's a pleasure to use in the field. It really is, and there's something about using a single tone machine, because when it pops and crackles, you know it's on the iron or something, and it's just so pleasurable. Especially when you come away with a nice find at the end of the day, you think, hold up, this is meant to be more or less a basic machine. It's got limited functions. It's 18 kilohertz, but it's doing a great job. And it's when you take it through the iron, even though it's a basic, simple machine, it still cuts the mustard in amongst the iron, which is lovely.
Absolutely. You know, one of the ways that I describe it, when, you know, here in the United States, I know it's different, but when I relic hunt, it's at a site where you're not going to find modern trash. And when I mean modern, I mean plumbing, electric, aluminum, that kind of stuff, you know. And I have some really good detectors. I have some really good digital detectors. And they're even good relic detectors, but you deal with a lot more popping and cracking, and the detector, I don't care how fast it is, it seems to get tripped up. It stumbles. You'll get a lot of issues. And when you run an analog detector, it just handles it better. It handles the iron. You don't get all that tripping up. Not nearly. I mean, and I've had many digital detectors, and nothing I've ever found just can't handle it like an analog. Absolutely, and that's why it kind of confuses me when we started this show. Because I know most of the hunting there is in fields, and I was surprised at how few people that we talk to and have had as guests use analog detectors, and I think that's really where it's at when you're in the iron.
Yeah.
We got a question, real quick.
Go on, carry on. Sorry.
Which DeepTech is best for beach hunting?
Well, that's the thing. No VLF is, would you say, is like great, especially single frequency VLF. There's multi frequencies and everything else. Yeah, they deal with sound and so on. But there's no real DeepTech foot's great on the beach as such. Dry beach, absolutely fine. Yeah, you have no problems and you'll just do anything. But when you get into like the surf, I would say it's going to be like a machine like the Warrior, because you've got the sensitivity and you've got the gain, so you can adjust them independently. And also same with the Vista Gold gain, higher kilohertz, deals with the mineralization a bit better. But the dry beach, absolutely fine all day long, just keep up with everything. But obviously when you start getting into the salty stuff and the black sand, that's really PI territory and multi-frequency. But the main purpose of these machines are field machines. I mean, so it's for beach, dry sand all day long. But wet beach, I say go for a Vista Gold gain. Then you can adjust the sensitivity and settle the machine down. But it's like when you're in the field again. I mean, people, it's just understanding, setting the machine up and having that. Especially, I'm going back to a little thing. Last summer, real hard digging in the ground. And the nice thing about the Vista Gold game, what I did, I turned down the gain, but I turned up the sensitivity. So I'm not punching deep. I'm not going deep and digging 20 minutes for like lead, like I've done plenty of times in the hard ground. You like sweat your head off and it's like, wow, I just dug all that 20 minutes and it's like lead. But it's nice having that option. So you turn your gain down, then you turn your sensitivity up. So you're getting that sensitivity to smaller targets in the ground. And it's still sharp, but you're not going down as deep. It's nice having that option. So, I mean, it's just horses for courses. And they really are good field machines.
Absolutely. I have no doubt.
I mean, we're over here as well. I mean, we don't get too many park hunters and such. I mean, a lot of councils and that don't want people in parks, especially, digging holes. As soon as someone sees a metal, it happened to myself. As soon as someone sees a metal detectorist in the field, boom, 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 like on a park, that's it. So someone sees you, they jump on, and there you go. Then people are jumping on the park, think, oh, it's public land, I can do this, I can do that, and they start leaving messy holes. And when I go up there and I've got permission, and someone, look, who do they see? They see someone with a metal detector, but they also see holes. Start pointing fingers. So you don't get too many park hunters, I would say, over in the UK. Not what I know of, anyway.
Right. Yeah. I mean, seems like everybody is hunting fields.
Yeah. That's
that's
a nice bit of it.
I would recommend anybody, I don't care what, something else I find that I think is a mistake with relic hunters, no matter what they're using, is they will relic hunt, they'll hunt with one detector. And I understand if you want the latest and the hottest detector out there and what's on fire, but I think personally, you're not doing yourself a favor if you don't at least have an analog detector to run back over those spots. I choose to start with an analog, and I'll come back with a digital or maybe even another analog because analog just works so good. But you guys hunting these fields, I strongly believe that analog's the way to go in iron. It's my personal opinion, but there's a lot of people that share that opinion with me that understand where I'm coming from. Aaron, I am getting sick. My stomach, I feel like I'm gonna be vomiting soon. It's come on really quick. I've got the cold sweats. We need to get to the new Vista X, though. We're gonna cut this short, but we will have you back anytime. We would love to have you back. But I think I would probably never hear the end of it if we didn't talk about the new Vista X.
No, that's no trouble. Let's get you talk about that so we can get you off the air. I mean, you can sort yourself out. No, the DeepTech Vista X, it's designed, with obviously new control box, slimmer, a lot slimmer than previous models. A lot of people don't like the old style, or the current style, I should say, of the Vistas, with a big box and everything. They think it looks dated, everything else. Personally, to me, it's not a handbag, it's not jewellery, it's a machine, it does its job. So style ain't the different. But they've reduced the actual size of the box. And also with the Vista X, they've really increased the discrimination. This is ideal for the Americans and, hunting parks and stuff. So you can really crank up that, discrimination to knock out some of them pesky coins. And if you really want, you can knock out a hell of a lot and just go for, the big silvers and so on. So, but that runs at 16 kilohertz. It's a completely different design. new octagon coil. So that is a modern machine. You're going to be hearing a lot more about this soon. I mean, especially with its dual discrimination. So you set your first discrimination. I mean, personally, over here hunting, I would just set the first one to knock out, virtually nails, and that's it, or break on a nail. And the second discrimination to knock out coke. But apart from that, if you're in America, I mean, you can set your first one to knock out nails, and you set your second discrimination to knock out basically what you want. It's a really powerful discrimination, the most powerful discrimination of any DeepTech machine. It really was. Previous to that was the Vista Sprite, and that was the one that knocked out coke. But the Vista X has really got a powerful discrimination circuit, and it's nice having the option again. You can hunt in two-tone, or because we've changed a few things on it. I mean, now all metal mode. I mean, it was on like a flicker switch, went centered itself. But a few changes have been made now. People who want to hunt in all metal can just pull the trigger switch back towards them. Then they ain't got a hold on it to any toggle switch or anything. But if they want, to like check their alternative discrimination, they just push the trigger switch forward. And also it's ambidextrous, so you've got a trigger switch under both sides of the machine. But you're going to be hearing a lot about this machine.
I appreciate that because I'm left-handed. Absolutely.
It comes in handy. You don't have to stretch your hand around and get in all different like twister shapes to start operating the machine. So the thought of that.
Can you tell me the purpose of the octagon coil?
It's a new design. It gives slightly better separation and slightly better depth. And I was a bit skeptical myself at first, thinking, it just looks a little bit odd. But it actually works quite well, to be honest, and it glides through the grass. It sounds strange. You think, like an octagon coil, how can that sort of... But it does. It seems to knock out the long grass, and it glides really nice. And nice. I mean, as well, basic, they're giving away like the shaft now is telescopic shaft. So that's becoming standard with every model, Vista X. So, they're progressing, they're moving forward. DeepTech really are moving forward. And they're really great in their field of work, especially on these analog machines. They always have been. Mm-hmm. There's no bad analog machine in our range. So, it's lovely. And you're going to, like I said, you're going to hear a lot more about this Vista X, especially, over in America, you're going to hear about it. Mm-hmm. And everywhere else. It's just what they've done. They've got all the features on there, and it's got the depth, it's got the separation, it's got some sharp tones in there, still two-tone. Or if you want to run it single tone, you just turn your like an iron tone down, and that turns it straight into single tone. Right. So but the main thing again, the emphasis is simplicity. And so you got easy to use from your beginner to your advanced. It's got high performance, and it's anyone can pick these machines up. Any of the DeepTech machines. From the basic to the advanced. It all depends on your needs and what you want to do, but I'm sure we can speak about all this in another show, you know what I mean, a bit more.
It's kind of settled down. I've still got the cold sweats and stuff, but it's not an emergency now.
You're right, yeah, sure.
Whew, man, I'll tell you, I don't know what came over me, but all of a sudden I didn't know if I had my hand on the mute button so I could get sick if needed. The Vista X, I think they're all good-looking machines. Don't get me wrong, but this Vista X is just pretty to me. That's a pretty detector. And
it's a nice design, and it is a nice design. They've done really well on it.
No,
it's just a lot of people. Like I said, a lot of people didn't like the control box. To me, like I said, it's not jewelry. It's not a handbag. It's functional. Everything was there. I don't need a small little display or anything. But they've listened to the people, and they've literally reduced this control box by a considerable amount. And so it's going to please many people. Like with the aesthetics, is it aesthetics or aesthetics? One of the two.
Yeah.
So I never get anything sort of right in words, but so they're going to put it this way, they're going to like the looks. Yes,
absolutely. Now, what about coils? What coils fit what detectors? What coils do you, because I know you guys you got some different size coils and stuff, but I know you're running at some different frequencies. And then what coils are going to be available for the Vista X?
I think it's initially just the standard. I think it's off the top of my head, I think it's 11 by 9.5. So that's going to be the standard coil. Okay. Now I'm not quite sure what coil. I think they're following up with a concentric coil.
Ooh, I
Now,
love concentrics in the iron.
yeah. Don't quote me on that one. I think it's in the pipeline, and but I've heard it's going to be happening. But I mean, eventually they'll introduce a few more coils. I mean, for the current range, we've got like a huge 18-inch coil. I mean, that's a monster, that is. But again, coils all depend on the frequency. Now, I mean, as long as you mix and match the same frequency, you're all right. I mean, with the machines, so you can't put like a Vista Gold gain coil on a 15 kilohertz machine. You're going to burn out the machine.
Yes.
So but we've got a wide range for the machines at the moment. The current machines, we've got a wide range of coils. I mean, it's like a huge 18-inch coil. Now, again, horses for courses. I mean, depending on what you want. I mean, if you're going to use an 18-inch coil on a Vista Gold gain running at 30 kilohertz, I mean, you're going to expect a lively run in the field because you've got that high kilohertz, the sensitivity of the machine, and that size coil. Listening to or searching for everything in that soil. Now, I mean, that really is a busy process. But once again, you can dial the machine back. You can turn the sensitivity back. It's all about understanding, which is not, I mean, but I like the HP coil. That's like a 11.5, I think, 8-inch coil by 8-inch coil. And that's a really nice coil. That's the HP coil. So that's elliptical.
Yeah, that's
and you
a
get
good
the Super
size.
6. Yeah, the Super 6. I mean, that's a very stable coil. The Super 6. I think, where is it? Super 6 is 8x5. Now, I mean, that's a really good coil, and that offers great separation, great depth, and stability. No matter really what machine is, you put that coil on, you can virtually crank that sensitivity or gain or whatever it is right the way up, and that coil is perfect. And you can still maintain real good punch in the ground and separation over the irons like a Tommy gun.
Right.
Depending what machine you use. I mean, if it's a single tone machine, you ain't going to hear that iron. You're just going to hear pops and crackles. But if you're running like the Vista Gold Gain, and to be honest, that's a lovely machine, Vista Gold Gain. It's like a personal favourite of mine. I mean, I've got little sweet spots for many of them. There's some I don't use, some I do use. But I mean, Vista Gold Gain, there's something about that machine. It is absolutely special. But this Vista X that's coming out, it could be taking its place. But no, so, I mean, there's also as well, DeepTech do like the big PI machines. Now, I don't know if you've seen the poster. I mean, if you ever go on DeepTech Facebook and scroll through their pages on Facebook, or I can obviously link some media sites to your website or your Facebook page.
Absolutely.
But someone, I think, where was it? Was it in Germany or somewhere? But anyway, they had to get literally a JCB to dig out these items. Now, these items were down probably about, off the top of my head, maybe about 3 meters in the ground, and that's with the PI machines. I mean, literally, because it was all this old World War II stuff, what was coming out, ovens, bits and bobs. But they had to get a JCB to excavate and get this stuff out of the ground. It was that deep. They couldn't. I mean, you'd be there digging all day long by hand if it was a thing. And that's with their PI machines. I mean, you can set up a coil as big as you want. It's mainly a 2-man option. They do with the PI machines. I mean, pulse induction. They've got a coil that you can manage on your own. It's just a big round coil, and you can do it on your own. I mean, but PI machines are specialist machines. I mean, they're not for the faint-hearted. But once again, with every machine, you have to learn and practice. But no, they do a wide range of PI machines as well.
Yeah, real quick, Aaron, we're getting questions, and I'm kind of getting backlogged here. Let me see where I just lost it.
Sorry, I do babble on sometimes, don't I?
No, but all really good. What's the price range of the DeepTech machines?
Now, I can only go by euros or what I've got here because I went onto the website just in case you was going to ask. But I think they're roughly starting from in euros. If we go for like the basic, let me have a look. Where are we? Mini starts at €295. Now, off the top of my head, I couldn't convert that into pounds or dollars. But they start off. I think that's around about £300. Then we go up to the most priciest one, which is the Vista Gold Gain, and I think that's around about 662, so €662. I think that's just. I'm not quite sure what that relates to in pound. I've never been great at conversions, but so they're not high price. You're not going to be paying over £1,000, or you're not going to be paying £700 for a machine. That's for sure. So I mean, but what you get for your money, just say you went for the Vista Gold game, the performance you get for the price you pay is amazing. It really is. And I mean, and simplicity, recovery, depth, all under one package without straining any menus or going for anything.
Real quick, I'm gonna tell a story, and I'm gonna need your help here in a second, and I'll cue you when I'm ready. But so a couple guys are saying they've never had analog and they've thought about going to it and stuff. I want to tell a quick story. So I've been detecting over 20 years, and in that time we've had digital detectors, with screens and everything else, and that's what I started off with. Well, I used to talk to a guy. I'm going to talk to Soro, and I apologize for they are out of business now. It's what I'm familiar with when we're talking analog. Excuse me. I feel like I'm getting sick all around, not just my stomach, but a cold and everything else here. Good. Yeah, right. Well, so many, many years back, I used to talk to a guy in Virginia, and he was running an analog detector, and I didn't understand why. Why would you want to use something like that? And he said, Mike, most detectors can't handle this soil, and this detector has found, this guy's collection was beyond belief. So that was kind of my first even idea of an analog detector. A few years later, I started hunting with a guy quite regularly. For being over an hour away, we'd get together once every few weeks, and we would often meet in the middle somewhere and find a place to hunt. And he showed me, he would bring stuff to show me from time to time, and I would do the same. Well, one time he brought a bag of gold rings, and I mean a big bag, and I was floored, absolutely floored. And I said, how did you get this many gold rings? I'm just flabbergasted. And he said, it was a Tesoro. He could tell by turning the knob, the disc knob, whether it was a pull tab, a gold, a pull tab, or a nickel. He could literally do, and I believe him from his bag of gold rings. So skip forward a few more years, I'm still not convinced. And I'm going to make this short. There's more to the story. I find myself hunting next to a lady who's never held a detector in her life, using the most basic analog detector you can probably get, or could get it at the time, from any company. And I'm running this high-end, expensive detector, and here's where I need you. It is going crazy. Make some crazy metal detector noises for me. You're so good at it.
I'll tell you what, you could go on some mad detector noises, some of them.
Yes, it was going crazy. And I'm walking next to her, and her detector is silent, with a little chirp here and there on iron. It would chirp now and then, just a chirp, not even a second thought. And suddenly, beep, 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 she digs a button. Few more minutes, beep, 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 she digs another button, and we're talking old buttons, and I'm blown away, because my detector sounds like it's ready to catch fire. And her third and last target, because she stopped then, she's not even that interested in detecting, she found an 1800s Indian head penny, and I was blown away. And right then I decided I'm going to quit being stubborn. I have been wrong about this, and that's what introduced me to analog detectors. And I'll tell you that there's been no looking back when it comes to relic hunting and iron for me. They're second to none. And I apologize to you. I apologize to the listeners to keep bringing up Tesoro and stuff, but it's what I've known. Now, what I will say for you guys listening over in England, George Kinsey again. I'm going to bring him up. He's used over 200 detectors. He's been detecting since '69. He's the guy who turned me on to DeepTech in the first place, and has talked very highly of him. And he's in highly mineralized ground in Virginia. He's probably got in this country some of the best finds of anybody, and he highly enjoys using DeepTech. So what I'm saying for you guys that have thought about buying, talking in the room about analog is absolutely a great way to go for relic hunting when you're not dealing with a ton of modern trash, but you're in iron, or you don't even have to be in iron. You really don't. Dean said. Dean Stanton said Thor loves his Tesoros, and Tesoros are fine. But when you look at a Tesoro compared to DeepTech, the iron volume is, I won't use a detector without iron volume anymore. Tesoro's never had that. Of course, Tesoro's out of business now. I'm seeing features on the DeepTechs that I've always wanted, things that I always wished Tesoro would have done. So, but the reason that Thor probably loves those Tesoros is because they're analog detectors, and they do work really good in the iron. And I can guarantee, I can almost guarantee, talking to George, of course, I'm relying a lot on George here, that DeepTech will handle the iron like nothing. You guys that have been running digital detectors all your life, I promise you, you've never experienced how good an analog detector will work.
It's raw, isn't it? You get a raw signal from a machine. It's not going through a billion processors, everything else, and so on. You're getting a raw experience from an analog machine. Now, if you want to mess around, go through different menus, set up things, confuse your life, then go through like a machine that's got a lot of settings. By setting a certain setting, you may miss something in the ground because you're looking, you're messing around, you don't know what you're doing. You don't get that with the analog machine, especially DeepTech. You just get straight down the line. You get day, night signals, and you get your scratchy signals. You can pick in between any of them. But if it's predominantly good signal, you're going to take it. But as people say, some people really want, I want to mess around. I want to do this. I want loads of things to adjust. I want some of this. But then great. That's everyone's independent. Everyone's got their own choice. Everyone's got their own way of thinking. But if you want raw detecting, then analog's a great way to do it.
Mm-hmm. It is. It really is. And anybody that's listening, I'll tell you, if you're using a digital detector, pick up DeepTech's most affordable detector, their beginner detector, and I will put money on it you go to your most iron infested site, and I will bet you money that you've pounded with your digital detector, and I will bet money with DeepTech's most affordable detector, analog. I bet you will pick good stuff out of there. I would put money on it.
They're known for it around iron. They are.
Yes.
They're really known for doing great around iron. I'll pick many a great target. Like I said, the machines sound off like a Tommy gun. Mm-hmm. And I've been winkling out targets. I think I've even got videos on YouTube of it. And it's just like, bip, 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 bip. But you get that, you can just listen to that clear high tone in there. Or you just get that little peep in amongst the iron. And that's it. And you just work that signal, work it, and dig it. If it turns out it's just an awkward bit of iron, then so what? And just move on. If you don't investigate, you're never going to learn a machine. You need to dig a bit of iron to find out what's going on. You really do.
Yes. Dean, do the DeepTech machines use no microelectronics at all, or are you talking digital display? Digital displays. No
digital display whatsoever. No. On the PI machines, yes. But actually on the VLFs, no.
Yep.
You've got to get no readout. All it is literally the sound to your ears, and that's personally the most productive way of hunting, in my personal opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yes. When I'm in a field, when I'm hunting a field here in the United States that doesn't have modern, rarely do they, a house that was gone prior to modern electric and plumbing. My biggest struggle with those is getting through the iron. I'm not, and they might have some modern trash on them, especially if they're close to the road. But you're going to dig that modern trash with a VDI machine anyhow, or you're not doing it right. You're really taking the chance of missing stuff when you're on a site like that. So you've got to dig it. That VDI is of absolutely no importance to me when I'm relic hunting in that heavy iron. Absolutely none. Now, I'll tell you, my first probably week or two with a analog detector at a site like that, I felt naked. It felt weird. But, after you've used digital for so long, but that quickly went away. You know, one of the first places I went to, we'd pounded. We'd hunted to death. And, my God, one of my first, just incredible the stuff that I missed with my $1,500 detector, digital detector, was incredible. And so, yeah, like I said, if I was going to come hunt over in really Europe anywhere, and I knew that modern trash wasn't going to be an issue, I'm hunting a field. Of course, you're going to find some modern trash. It's going to make it into the field. But when you go to a park, in every swing there's 20 pull tabs to every coin, that's not where I'd want to use it. But in a field with very little modern trash, and especially if there's an iron issue, give me analog all day long, yeah. and a concentric coil on top of it. If the mineralization's down, places I hunt here in the United States, the concentrics just tend to work better. So
it'd definitely be interesting. When they bring out concentric coil, like I said, don't quote me on that. I think they're going to bring it out for the Vista X, and that's going to be a very interesting thing, because as you know, that shape and the way it detects a concentric coil, they're fast anyway. DeepTech, so you put a concentric coil on it, you're going to be killing it in the iron. You really are. You really, got to be deadly.
Yeah, absolutely. I see somebody had posted in the group that DeepTech they're talking about it on Detector Prospector. I've actually had him on, and he's a great guy. Great group. I know it's mostly for the United States people, but that is definitely a really good group. I'm trying to think of his name. I'm horrible with names.
Is that the Herschel one? Is that the Herschel bloke?
Yeah, Steve Hirschbeck.
That's the one, yeah.
Steve Hirschbeck is a heck of a guy, heck of a he's good with detectors, very good with it, very knowledgeable, and but yeah, they posted that there. I'll have to read through it later and see what's going on, but yeah.
If he's going about gold hunting and nuggets and stuff like that, the Vista Gold and Gold Gain, they're suitable for that. We've had success on. Once again, if you look on the DeepTech Facebook page and you scroll down, you'll see people pulling out little gold nuggets and stuff like that with these machines. And like I said, when people take them on the beach and the micro jewelry, when they're doing the tests and so on, they're still working great on the beach. Damp sand, yeah, so wet sand, don't bother as such. But dry sand, yeah, micro jewelry. And you'd be surprised if you look up on YouTube some of the actual comparisons of what they've done. And people are blown away with the performance of the DeepTechs. And especially when they show, they've got a certain machine, they go over a target, then and they're blown away with the signal quality they're getting back off of the DeepTechs. They really are good machines, they're good all round. We've got machines, for cater for every needs. If you want a lazy days detecting, you take out one of the simple machines and it's just nice, it ring out. It will avoid, like some of the lesser, like the lower kilohertz machines, will avoid some of the tiny little bits of fragments of lead and everything else. And if you want sort of a lazy days detecting, they just go for they pick up well on coin size items. But if you want everything out the ground, then something like your 30 kilohertz Vista Gold, you could be coming away with tiny little flakes in your hand and stuff like that. And they really do strip the ground well.
Let me answer. Well, let's answer a couple questions here. Aaron said the Cruiser has a gain setting. It's monotone. I'm guessing it's like analog. No, it's just not. It's not processing the signal the same. Don't get me wrong. You guys know I'm a big fan of Nocta Macro. Huge fan. And although they are great relic detectors, in the iron they're great. They are in my personal opinion, they're some of the best in iron. I can almost guarantee you I could take the DeepTech starter machine and out hunt it in the heavy iron. It's a great all around detector. It's got great depth. I can go on and on about it, but no, it's just when you take analog versus digital, that you don't take a digital and put it in just because it's got monotone. It's not processing like an analog at all.
It's a completely different sort of system, isn't it?
Yes.
It's hard to explain unless you put the two side by side and take them to that field and listen to the audio. And I mean, look, providing you've got a good pair of headphones on, you've got good ears, you can start hearing the difference in the way the machines are working in comparison analog and digital. It's something to be heard and understood, you know what I mean? It's hard for me now being I'm like the tester, I've got my own different VDI machines and bits and bobs. It's hard for me now to trust certain machines over analog because I know what's going on with these machines. Okay, yeah, I ain't got hours and hours with these VDI machines and so on, but I pick up machines pretty easy, and it's quite easy to set up a machine how I want it to do or what I want it to do. But I still can't. I pull myself away from like the analog machine. I'm thinking when I take that VDI machine, I feel like I'm missing something. There's something not there. It's like the machine's got no soul or something. But the analog's raw, and it's telling you there's plenty of information there, and it's not. It don't have to like do multiple tasks and stuff like that. It's something strange. It's something you got to do. Take out the field, experience yourself. It's hard to explain how an analog compares to a digital stuff, bar the screen. You know what I mean? So,
yeah,
different workings as such.
So, yeah, and again, so let me give you where I use this and why, where I want an analog detector. When we relic hunt, so I'm from Ohio. So the Midwest, most of the Midwest and stuff, you've got farm fields, corn and beans mostly. And they plow them and stuff's not really deep. It's usually not deep. It's, 6 inches or less in most cases. But what you'll have, you could take in the middle of where that house sat or that structure sat, you could take a regular size shovel scoop and find no less than 10 at least pieces of nails, if not, 10 nails, and sometimes bigger iron. And let's go with the cruiser since we talked about it. Again, in no way am I knocking the cruiser. You're just talking different technology. And that cruiser, all these digital detectors with displays and stuff, they have to, there's processors in them. I'm not a techie guy. But what you'll find is I've had the cruiser relic hunting in these fields, and it'll get tripped up. It starts to almost lag in that iron, like it can't handle it. It's trying to over process too many signals. It's trying to do too much. Now you take that cruiser to a trashy park, and you'll separate the pull tabs and stuff from the coins and all that, and it does fantastic. And it's a hell of a relic detector for a digital detector. You analog, somebody, we were having I was having a guy that's pretty techie, and we were having a conversation, and he's with me. He understands analog is the way to go in heavy iron. And I said, I don't understand it. I can't explain it. It's just my years of experience now with both. And he said, well, the best way I think to explain it is this. He said, have you ever used a digital multimeter? Of course I have. He said, plug it into your wall socket and watch it jump around. Here, I don't know what you guys have. We're, 110 when you plug in, and he said it might be 109.0765 and keep jumping around, and it's just jumping. It's constantly that point so and so, that number's constantly jumping. He goes, now take an analog meter and stick it in there, 110. perfect, 110 every time. You know, if you got electric going to it. And he said that digital is trying to process too much, and you don't need to. And he goes, that's the best way I know how to explain analog versus digital. And I love that, because we've all, you know, anybody that's ever had a digital multimeter, and you know that you plug it into the wall and it won't give you a steady reading. It's jumping all over. There's something. Am I doing it justice? Am I doing analog justice here?
Yeah, of course you are. Of course you are doing justice. The thing is that, I mean, there's brilliant analog machines out here, which are DeepTech, and there's brilliant digital machines out there. I mean, it all comes down to user choice, what you want from a machine and everything else. I mean, some digital machines are rapid machines, everything else. But I personally, how I see it, it's like old school, new school. Now, it depends on what you want. If you want, with your old American cars and stuff, some big American muscle cars, that's how I class some of the DeepTechs. They do the job, and they do it well and consistently. But then you get all the technology in the new machines, in the new cars and stuff. So there's all gadgets, and you get confused with, like, when you look at a dashboard and you think, whoa, how do we even start this thing?
Yeah,
so you get in one of your old Corvettes or something, it's straightforward, you know what I mean? It's exactly the same that, but they both do the same principle. But no, you do. Your explanation is exactly right there. You have to try an analog machine. If you never tried one, I would say the best thing to do, go out and buy it. Obviously, go and buy a DeepTech.
Right, obviously.
Obviously, go buy a DeepTech. But it's just plain sailing with them. It's so simple to set up. After a little, they've got a little learning curve, depending which model you go for. But they're just loyal workhorses. They really are. There's no farting about with the machines. It's just straightforward detecting. If you're a detectorist, why would you want all the bells and whistles to do everything? I know sometimes you need to sort something out, or this, but at the end of the day, most of the fields over in the UK and everything, bar coke, you just got the iron and you've got targets. You don't need a billion whistles and everything else to sort out your finds in the ground. You just need something what's reasonably deep and reasonably fast, and that's what DeepTech offer, and they do it well, and they've been doing it well for many people around the globe. That's what I love.
Yeah,
just simple machines.
Machines. For you guys that are considering an analog, if you have a site with heavy iron and you've been over it and over it with your digital detector, start with the entry level DeepTech. Entry level, and I will guarantee if you learn that detector, and you're going to learn it in minutes. They're workhorses. They're not tinkerers. They're analog detectors for the most part are just workhorses. And you go work that iron infested site, and if you're not impressed and you don't make finds, I'll have you on the podcast and we can talk about it. I'll have you on live, but I don't go out the first day. Hey, I didn't find anything. Get used to it a little bit. It's going to take a little time. You give it a couple weeks, and not at that same site even, but learn the detector and start to understand what it's telling you, which will be very simple coming from a high-tech digital detector. You're going to learn it in no time flat, and I'll tell you, you're going to pull stuff out of there. I've done it over and over and over again. When I'm hunting in heavy iron, I might run a digital detector through it, but I'm going to start with analog. I'm definitely going to start with analog. Of course, I come from the school of, I believe, different technology, but, I don't care how fast a digital detector is, it just doesn't work in the heavy iron, like an analog detector will. And I've never found one that will. Maybe you have. Maybe there is something out there. Personally, I've never found one.
Yeah, they can be fast. For instance, the Deus and so on. You can set the machines up to be very fast around the iron and so on. But again, once you start setting it up to be very fast around the iron, you'll start losing the depth and so on. But that's what you do. Just say, like you were saying about, go pick up like the simple basic machine. It's like the Vista Mini. Now, it runs at 8 kilohertz. It's not the fastest recovery speed of the DeepTech range, but you compensate by that when you're in the iron just by slowing your sweep speed down a little bit. You're giving the machine a bit of a chance. But where you got the Vista Gold or Vista Gold Gain, you can pick up your sweep speed and you're still going to catch them targets. It's just basic common sense. I mean, detecting when you're around the iron and so on. If you've got a slow machine, or think you just slow your sweep speed down. You see people, I mean, sweeping like playing golf or something sometimes. You think, give your machine a chance. It don't matter how fast your machine is. You're swinging it like a golf club or something like that. You're never going to catch anything. Well, but saying that, they're the lucky people.
Even the fastest detectors, though, digital, seem to get caught up in that when it's trying to process too much. And when you're in that heavy iron, they'll start to, they're going to stumble. You're going to run into issues. I'm not saying digital, you can't find some great stuff and you can't use them very successfully in heavy iron, but I think you would be blown away to go back over those sites with the Vista Mini, I believe. And I can almost, because analog processes, analog's like instant, right? I mean, it's how it was explained to me. It's instant. It's not processing signals through a processor and stuff. And it's more like instant.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, like I said, you've got different recovery speeds compared to the Vista Gold Gain to the Vista Mini. And I mean, if you do want just jump straight into something what's a little bit sharper, you go with the Vista Mini Max. And personally, I think that's the Plowman, the actual owner of the company. I think that's his favourite little machine. He loves the Vista Mini Max. Runs at 18 kilohertz. It's a single tone. You can set your disc where you want your disc, and away you go. There's nothing complicated behind that. But yeah, I mean, literally, it is horses for courses. Slow your speed down if you're in iron, no matter what machine you got. I mean, and it's odd as well. Sweep speeds as well. When you're on clean ground, you get some machines out there that benefit by a stronger sweep speed or a faster sweep speed to get that depth. Then you get some machines that prefer. It's just understanding the machines. I mean, taking a little time, like you said. I mean, that's when that person, don't go out just giving it going with machine once to a field. I found a load of junk. This machine's junk. You can't do that with any machine. You've got to give a machine time, everything else. It's like I said, my best gold coin came from the cheapest DeepTech in the range, and that was the Vista Mini. I mean, so what's that to say? I mean, it wasn't an expensive machine. It was a machine what's under £300. I mean, would another machine found that? Of course it would have. But it weren't. It was a basic, easy-to-use, single-tone machine, found me a desirable gold-hammered coin. I mean, you can't get more. What do you want from detecting some people? You know what I mean? It's just
right.
It's crazy.
So Dean asked, how do the DeepTech machines process the signal? Dean, I'm not a techie guy.
No,
it's
not. I mean, it's
analog. It's analog technology versus it doesn't have processors in it like your digital detectors will to process that signal. But let me. Although I'm not technical like that, and I can't really, I just don't know what the difference is other than analog is just so fast in the iron. And I'm just speaking on experience. I'm not speaking from technical know-how here. But a few months back, I was talking to a friend here in the United States. He's an IT guy. He's a very geeky. He's a geek, loves electronics in general, and we were talking about we were talking about this and how I brought up how I like analog detectors and stuff, and for the iron he goes, that's really the way to go, and he was the one telling me that it's instant. You're not processing the signals through microprocessors and stuff, and he was telling me a story. And I believe it was in the music industry that the most sophisticated recording studios, I want to say it was that they still record using analog because it processes the signals better than they can digital. And what he was saying, then they turn it into a digital, they put it out as digital. And so, and he says they do that because analog is like instant. So to say, I know it's different waveforms, exactly how it works, but I know that, you're not going to find a processors in a analog detector that you're going to find in the digital.
Also, as well, it comes down to, it's like when you get the CD and the old record, people like the sound of the record. There's something, there's a raw sound to that record compared to a CD. Yeah, you get the clarity, you get bits of, but there's something people like about that audio on the record. It just is. It is strange, and like you said, it is instant, more or less. There's no messing about, and but there's still plenty of information in the signal quality what you get. I mean, compared to like a digital as well. So you think, oh yeah, well, it's analog. I mean, what information are you going to get from that? You get plenty of information. There's amount of times I can call, like if I say, there's a slight scratch or something on the audio, I say that's lead. Dig it, it's lead. That's coke. Also, there's a lot of things you can call, and like I said before, I mean, whatever it was. And I said about when you get a hammered coin, and there's something sometimes about sweet tone, and you think, yeah, you're onto something goody. You dig it, and it's a hammered coin or half hammered coin and stuff. There's a lot of information in the audio in analog.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I don't hear it so good. It's one of the reasons I wouldn't pick an analog detector to hunt in a trashy park. But when you're talking even a single tone detector, I've got a friend whose uncle is still using an really old Fisher single tone detector. And I'll tell you what, that guy, I don't care what detector I'm using, how well I've known it, he will call targets better with that single tone detector than I will with the digital detector, because a digital detector will get fooled where he can hear it in the tone by how it, what's the nuances? You know, even a single tone detector, you can hear the nuances. A lot of the Tesoros. I know guys that, I've been with guys that are like, oh, I got a quarter here. And I'm like, how do you know on a single tone? Because I don't hear the nuances on most single tone or two tone detectors, but you can. There's people that can do it. So yeah, I believe that absolutely. You must have a little bit better ears than me, because I can hear, you know, sometimes you'll go over a coin versus a bottle cap or something, and it might kind of clunk on the edges or, you know, drop off kind of harsh, where a coin's more, you know, it's almost rounded. Or I'm horrible at trying to explain detector sounds, but
that's as well with the Vista X. Wherever you say, so you start off on zero disc, like you go and hunting, you can increase that discrimination or that dual discrimination, which whenever you want, and you can keep on, when it starts turning to a iron signal or a low tone, then you dig that target and you can start working out what's what. So you'll start realizing what, say, a certain coin comes in at, depending if it's in clean ground, if it's in iron. I mean, anything can change. But if it's in clean ground or something, you can start increasing. Then over time, you'll get to know what you're roughly digging or get familiarized. But that's the thing. You need to take a little time to understand the machines. Whichever machine you go to first, I mean, people won't understand. We get people come to us, I don't understand this signal, I don't understand that. It's because, I mean, you just need that little time. We've got people out there who are just producing Roman stuff, everything else. We've got many like great followers in the UK that are constantly finding nice Roman coins, this and that. And they love the machines because they trust them. They don't want bells and whistles. They know what the machine's telling them. They're simple to use and they're effective. So yes. It is understanding. You've got to give any machine you buy, I mean, a little bit of time. Just give a little bit of effort. Everything else. Amount of days we all detectorists go out and find junk. You can't get disheartened. It ain't the machine. It's just depending what's going on the ground. And another thing, what people say, I mean, you've got to walk over it to find it.
Yes.
Well, yeah, that is a great thing, and I can understand that. But you put iron in the mix, and you've got a slow machine. No matter if you walk over it, you're still not going to find it. So you matching everything up to find that target. Like I said, even with the Vista Gold game, it's a blisteringly fast machine. It really is a fast machine. But you just need to, when you get into that really heavy bed of iron, say like Tommy gun going off, just slow it down a little bit. Just help the machine out. And that nice, if the target's there, and that signal will come out nice and clean. But with any machine you swing way too fast, you're going to miss targets. It's just understanding, giving machines a little time.
True, but analog still does it better. and that heavy iron. I mean, just plain and simple. But that is good sound advice all around, especially when you're talking digital. Absolutely, I agree. But yeah.
Yeah, there is analog machines. That's why I said it's hard for me to trust other machines because I trust the DeepTechs. I really do. Always have done now. And I said to you, the bench machines. So it's very hard for me to pick up another machine. Even though I can get the grasp and I know what I want it to do, it's always a DeepTech what I want to go back to and trust and so on. It's like, that's the machine. That is the one. So for me anyway. Yeah. You may say I would say that will work for the company, but
right. Well, but I mean, there's no doubt in my mind. Like I said, I know I keep saying it. George Kinsey, him talking about it. He was going to call in today. I don't know if I told our listeners. George really wanted to be a part of the show, and when he first found out I was having Aaron on, he said, "Hey, I'd like to call in and be a part of that." And I said, "Absolutely." Well, Aaron had to cancel because he wasn't ready to talk about the Vista X, and he wanted to be able to talk about it. So we put the show off. Well, I got a hold of George the other day, and he said, "Mike, I wish I could, but I've got to do he had training, some kind of training to do today. But I really wish we could have had him on because he could have really talked what he loves about him and stuff.
It would have been good. It would have been good to have him on, but there's always other times.
Yes,
not just
absolutely.
after once. I mean, there's always other times we can do this. So
yeah, absolutely, we can. Absolutely, I think we're ready to wrap it up. What do you think, Aaron?
Yeah, it's absolutely fine. I mean, just look up DeepTech metal detectors. We're on Facebook. They've got the website. Everything else. Come to my page. I mean, I do a Facebook page. Is you'll find it on the DeepTech UK page on Facebook. So you can come straight directly to that page there. Then just ask questions. You got any questions about anything to do with DeepTech? Find DeepTech on Facebook or email us or anything, and we'll answer your questions ASAP.
Oh, that's great. Absolutely. And Aaron, it has been a pleasure having you on. Let's work on keep in touch, and we'll get you back on, especially after the X comes out.
Yeah, that'd be great. And it's a true pleasure to speak to you, and I appreciate you inviting us on. It's been a pleasure. It really has.
Absolutely. And I've had a lot of fun. Fun, Aaron. Thank you.
No, you're absolutely welcome. All good. And I hope you feel better soon, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm getting a little bit better already. But I'll tell you what, it was rough there. I didn't know if I was going to make it there for a few minutes, but we made it through.
Yeah, you had your hand on the cord ready to pull that one to get out then. So I know you was very ready to get out. I saw that. I heard it.
Yeah, I was getting green, turning green, I think. All right, Aaron, thank you so much. Good night.
Thank you. Good night. Good night, all. Night. Cheers.
The Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine acts as a hub for information, offering articles from archaeologists, detectorists and other specialists throughout the genre. Featuring many links, event info and news articles associated to archaeology and metal detecting. We also offer professional review services and promotion for books, resources, videos, documentaries, gadgets, equipment and much, much more. The magazine is run by the archaeological and metal detecting community for the archaeological and metal detecting community. So come visit us at archmdmag.com, that's archmdmag.com, and check out information from our media section with all the latest content, news from the Archaeology channel, podcast and the YouTube channels that feature the now legendary Digger Dawn, the Man with the Hat and Archeo Duck, just to name a few. If you would like to offer an article, link or inquire about other services, then pay us a visit at archmdmag.com and drop us a line.